Imagine stepping onto Mars, looking out at a frozen red desert, and realizing one of the hardest problems isn't surviving the cold, the radiation, or even the dust storms. It's dinner, because if humans are ever going to live on Mars for real, we can't just bring food with us forever. We're going to have to grow it there. And that means turning one of the most hostile worlds in the solar system into a place where tomatoes, potatoes, and maybe even leafy greens can survive. But here's the wild part. The biggest challenge might not be the lack of water, or the weak sunlight, or even the poisoned soil. It might be convincing Mars to behave like a farm. Today on Ancient Skies, we're diving into one of the most important questions in space exploration. How would humans actually grow food on Mars? Not just in theory, not just in a sci-fi movie greenhouse. I'm talking about the real science behind Martian farming, the impossible soil, the thin atmosphere, the brutal cold, the radiation, the water problem, and the strange crops that might actually have a chance of surviving there. And along the way, we're going to look at the future of space agriculture, the experiments already being tested on Earth, and why the first Martian farms may look nothing like the ones we imagine. Mars sounds promising at first. It has a day length that's close to Earth's, it has seasons, and it even has water ice. That makes it feel, at least on paper, like the best place beyond Earth to try growing food. But the moment you zoom in, Mars starts throwing punches. The soil is not really soil in the way we think of it. It's regolith, a dusty, rocky, chemical mess with almost no organic life in it. It also contains perchlorates, which are toxic salts that can be dangerous to both plants and humans if not removed or neutralized. So before a single seed goes in the ground, Mars already needs serious cleanup. Then there's the atmosphere. Mars has almost no air pressure compared to Earth, and the air it does have is mostly carbon dioxide. That sounds useful for plants, since they need carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, but the pressure is so low that an open-air farm would be impossible. You wouldn't just need a greenhouse. You'd need a sealed, pressurized environment that keeps the plants alive while keeping Mars out. And then there's the cold. Mars is frigid, dry, and exposed to radiation that would be a huge problem for both crops and crew. So the first challenge isn't really farming. It's building an entire miniature world where farming can happen at all. If people imagine future Mars colonies with giant red fields and tractors driving across the landscape, that's probably not how it starts. The first food systems on Mars will almost certainly be small, enclosed, and hyper-efficient. Think vertical farms, hydroponic systems, aeroponic towers, and tightly controlled greenhouses designed to recycle almost every drop of water and every bit of oxygen. That's because on Mars, every resource matters. Water can't just be wasted. Light can't just be ignored. Energy is expensive. Soil may need to be replaced entirely by nutrient solutions. So instead of long rows of crops, early Mars farming may look more like a science lab crossed with a spaceship. And that's actually a good thing, because the more controlled the environment, the better the chances of success. Plants on Mars won't just need sunlight. They may need artificial lighting tuned to specific wavelengths. They won't just need nutrients. They'll need carefully balanced feeding systems. They won't just need water. They'll need a closed-loop recycling system that captures and reuses almost everything. In other words, the first Martian farms might be less about growing food in dirt and more about engineering life support that happens to produce salad. Not every crop is built for Mars, and that's where things get interesting. The best early candidates are usually plants that grow fast, don't need huge amounts of space, and can produce useful calories or nutrients. Potatoes are one of the most popular choices because they're calorie-dense, adaptable, and famously resilient. Leafy greens like lettuce, spinach, and kale are also strong contenders because they grow quickly and provide vitamins that would be important in a long-term settlement. Herbs may also be valuable, not just for nutrition, but for morale. That might sound like a small detail, but on Mars, fresh food could become one of the most powerful psychological tools in a colony. A tomato isn't just a tomato if you're 140 million miles from the nearest grocery store. It's a reminder that human life is actually taking root on another planet. There's also a fascinating possibility that scientists will use specially bred or genetically modified crops designed for extreme environments. These plants might be selected for drought resistance, salt tolerance, faster growth, or the ability to thrive under low light and recycled nutrients. In the future, the first Martian farmers may be growing crops that barely resemble the ones we eat on Earth today. One of the most surprising challenges on Mars is that the planet's dirt may be more dangerous than useful. Mars' regolith contains useful minerals, but it's not a living ecosystem. It lacks the microbes, fungi, and organic matter that make Earth soil fertile. That means you can't just dig a hole and plant seeds. The entire biological foundation is missing, and because of perchlorates, the soil may need extensive treatment before it can support crops safely. That might involve washing, heating, chemical processing, or mixing the regolith with organic material and water in controlled conditions. This is one of the biggest hidden stories in Mars agriculture. We may not actually farm Mars at first. We may have to fix Mars piece by piece until it can support farming. That makes every crop a test, and every greenhouse a long-term experiment in terraforming on a very small scale. That's what makes the idea so exciting. The first food grown on Mars may not just feed people. It may help transform a dead planet into something more livable. If there's one thing that will decide the future of Martian farming, it's not just biology, it's infrastructure. Water is precious, so systems on Mars will have to capture condensation, recycle wastewater, and possibly extract water from ice deposits. Light is another huge issue. Mars receives less sunlight than Earth, and dust storms can block even that. So greenhouses may need supplemental lighting to keep crops alive during darker periods. Energy becomes the invisible engine behind everything. You can't run a greenhouse without power. You can't purify water without power. You can't regulate temperature or pressure without power. So the future of Martian food depends on pairing agriculture with reliable energy systems, probably including nuclear or large-scale solar arrays. That creates a strange paradox. To grow food on Mars, humans may need a whole industrial ecosystem just to support a few plants. But once that system exists, it becomes the foundation for survival. Food production is not just agriculture in space, it's civilization building. Even if humans never build a huge city on Mars, research into Martian farming will still matter here on Earth. The same technologies used for Mars could help feed people in deserts, drought zones, disaster areas, and dense urban centers. Closed-loop water systems, low-energy grow lights, soil remediation, and efficient hydroponics could all have practical uses here at home. So, in a weird way, Mars agriculture could help solve some of Earth's own food problems. And there's another layer, too. Growing food on Mars is a test of human resilience. It asks whether we can build systems that support life in places that were never meant to host it. That's not just a space question. That's a human question. Because if we can grow food on Mars, then we've proven something huge. That life doesn't just cling to one planet. It can learn, adapt, and expand. So the next time you hear about Mars colonization, remember this. The biggest challenge might not be landing there. It might be lunch. If this video just made you appreciate how easy it is to grow food on Earth a little more, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel. Drop a comment and tell me, would you trust a Martian-grown potato or a Martian-grown tomato or neither? And if you want more deep dives into strange space survival, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because next time, we're covering something even crazier.